Good evening. I welcome you to Strange Nexus, your portal to the realms of the strange, spooky, and unexplained. On tonight's episode, I bring to you the story of Daniel, an adventurous hiker venturing deep into the heart of a dark and ancient forest. Little did he know that he would become a witness to a horrifying battle between two supernatural creatures, the Dogman and a vampire.
The setting sun painted the dense forest in shades of crimson and gold as I ventured deeper into the woods. My footsteps were careful and deliberate, the only sound breaking the silence of the ancient trees. I had always been drawn to the mysteries of the wilderness, seeking solace and adventure in its depths. Little did I know that this particular adventure would lead me to a chilling encounter beyond the realm of my wildest nightmares. My name is Daniel, and I had been hiking for hours, guided only by the faint trail markers and the dimming sunlight. The dense canopy overhead threatened to plunge me into darkness, but my years of outdoor experience reassured me that I could navigate my way back. I was well prepared, or so I thought, with my backpack filled with essentials: water, energy bars, a flashlight, and a pocket knife. It was a standard solo excursion for me, but as the shadows grew longer, unease settled in the pit of my stomach. The forest felt different tonight, its aura charged with an eerie energy. An ominous hush draped over the land, and a chill ran down my spine. Ignoring my instincts would have been foolish, but my curiosity pushed me forward. I wanted to see what lay beyond, what secrets this ancient forest held. As I ventured deeper into the woods, the trail became less defined, and the underbrush grew thicker. Darkness descended rapidly, and the woods came alive with the sounds of nocturnal creatures. But then, something else cut through the symphony of the night. An eerie, guttural growl that sent shivers down my spine. My heart pounded, and my senses went into overdrive as I scanned the surroundings. In the distance, I glimpsed a pair of glowing eyes like twin embers burning in the darkness. They were low to the ground, not far from the trail, and their malevolent gaze locked onto me. Panic gripped me, and I fumbled for my flashlight, illuminating the eye's source. What I saw defied reason. Before me stood a creature straight out of a nightmare. It was massive, covered in matted dark fur that seemed to absorb what little light penetrated the thick canopy above. Its eyes glowed with a malevolent intelligence, and its sharp, yellowed teeth were bared in a predatory snarl. I could hardly believe what I was seeing. It looked like a hybrid of a giant wolf and a man, standing on two legs but with a hunched, bestial posture. Its hands ended in long, wickedly sharp claws, and its legs were like those of a powerful predator. This was no ordinary animal. This was a Dogman. I took a step back, my mind racing, searching for any logical explanation. Was it a man in a costume? An elaborate prank? My flashlight trembled in my hand as I tried to steady it, but the creature's snarl and the predatory gleam in its eyes left no room for doubt. This was real, and it was dangerous. I knew I had to retreat, to escape from this nightmare, but my legs were heavy, rooted in fear. The Dogman took a step forward, and then another, its growls growing louder and more menacing. I edged back, my heart hammering, and then turned and bolted down the trail. Branches and thorns clawed at me as I fled through the darkness. Behind me, I heard the creature's heavy footsteps, a constant reminder that it was closing in. My only hope was to reach my car and get out of these woods. The trail ahead led to a small clearing, and I could see the faint glow of moonlight filtering through the trees. It was within reach, and I sprinted with all my might. Just as I burst into the clearing, a searing pain shot through my leg and I tumbled to the ground. Of all the times for my hamstring to give out, I thought to myself. I glanced back and saw the Dogman had stopped and began pacing back and forth, its claws fully on display, raking along the trees. The pain was excruciating, but I couldn't stop. I forced myself into a pathetic limp run, my fingers digging into my palms with each shot of pain from my injured leg. The creature was relentless, its growls growing louder as it restarted its pursuit. I could feel its hot breath on the back of my neck, its fetid stench filling my nostrils. Desperation gave me strength, and I reached the edge of the clearing, my car just a few yards away. I pulled myself in, every step sending waves of agony through my leg, and finally reached the safety of my vehicle. I fumbled for my keys, my hands trembling, and with a final surge of adrenaline, I started the engine and sped away, leaving the nightmarish forest behind. Back in the safety of my home, I kept replaying the night's events in my head, trying to make sense of the terror I had encountered. At any point, the Dogman could have ended my life, but it didn't. It seemed to be hurting my out of the woods the more I thought about it. Even after coming to that realization, the image of the Dogman haunted my thoughts, and I couldn't shake the feeling that it was just the beginning of something far more sinister. Over the next few days, I scoured the internet for any information on Dogmen, but my searches yielded little more than folklore and urban legends. It was as if the creature I had encountered was a phantom, a nightmarish apparition with no place in the rational world. Just as I began to doubt my own sanity, I received an anonymous email containing a video clip. It was grainy and dark, but the subject matter was unmistakable. A dogman prowling through the woods, its snarls captured in chilling detail. The video was accompanied by a message: "You're not alone in this." The sender's identity remained a mystery, but the video was undeniable proof that the Dogman was real, and it wasn't confined to the remote forest where I had encountered it. My fear deepened and a sense of dread settled over me. Days turned into weeks, and I became obsessed with the Dogman. I scoured every resource I could find, trying to uncover its origins and motives. It was during one of these late-night research sessions that I stumbled upon a chilling legend, a story that sent shivers down my spine. The legend spoke of a Dogman, a creature said to be a guardian of the woods, a protector of ancient secrets hidden deep within the forest. But there was more, a warning that the Dogman was not alone, that it shared its domain with another entity, a creature of darkness and malevolence. This creature was described as a large, feral-winged bat-like being with incredible leathery wings and sharp fangs. It was said to feed on the blood of both humans and animals, lurking in the shadows and striking with deadly precision. The legend referred to it as the Strigoi, a creature born of darkness and ancient curses, better known as a vampire. The more I delved into the legend, the more it seemed to fit the nightmarish encounter I had experienced. The Dogman and the vampire, the forest's protectors and its predators, locked in a brutal battle for control of the woods. I knew I had to return to the forest to confront the horrors that lurked within. My encounter had left me with more questions than answers, and I couldn't rest until I unraveled the truth behind the legend. But this time, I would be prepared. I gathered weapons, a stronger flashlight, and essential supplies, ready to face whatever awaited me in the woods. As I ventured back into the forest, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was walking into a nightmare. The familiar trail led me deeper into the heart of darkness, and I kept a vigilant eye on my surroundings. Every rustle of leaves and snap of twigs sent my heart racing, but I pressed on, driven by a relentless curiosity and a desire for answers. Hours passed, and the forest seemed to close in around me. The air grew heavy with an otherworldly stillness, and I felt like an intruder in a realm that didn't belong to me. Then in the distance, I heard it, the eerie sound of wings flapping, followed by a sinister hiss. I froze, my heart pounding in my chest. The vampire was near, and I knew I had to be cautious. I switched on my flashlight and scanned the trees, searching for any sign of movement. That's when I saw it, a pair of glowing red eyes, high in the branches. The creature descended swiftly, its wings unfurling to reveal a leathery expanse that blotted out the moonlight. Its body was grotesque, a nightmarish fusion of bat and human, with long bony fingers ending in razor-sharp claws. It hissed again, its fangs glistening with an insatiable hunger. I raised my flashlight, its beam cutting through the darkness, and the vampire recoiled, its eyes narrowing in the harsh light. It screeched in agony, a piercing sound that echoed through the forest, and then it retreated into the shadows. But I couldn't let it escape. I followed the creature, my flashlight tracking its movements as it darted from tree to tree. It was fast and elusive, always staying just out of reach. We moved deeper into the forest, a deadly game of cat and mouse. As the pursuit continued, I stumbled upon a gruesome sight, a clearing littered with animal carcasses, drained of blood and torn apart. The vampire had left a trail of death and destruction in its wake, and it was clear that it posed a grave threat not only to the forest's inhabitants but also to anyone who ventured too close. The pursuit stretched on, the forest becoming a nightmarish labyrinth of shadows and fear. I was exhausted, my breath coming in ragged gasps, but I couldn't give up. I had to confront the monster, to uncover the truth of its existence. Finally, I cornered the creature in a small, moonlit glade. It screeched and hissed, its wings outstretched, but it had nowhere to run. I raised my flashlight, its beam steady and unwavering, and for a moment, the vampire was bathed in light. Its features were grotesque and inhuman, its eyes filled with malevolence. But as I stared into those eyes, I saw something else, a deep, ancient sadness. It was a creature born of darkness and cursed to a life of eternal hunger and torment. For a brief moment, fear gave way to empathy, and I lowered my flashlight. The vampire hesitated, its screeches growing quieter. It took a tentative step toward me, as if drawn by the light. But then, from the shadows behind me, a low growl echoed through the glade. I turned slowly, my heart sinking as I saw the Dogman emerge from the darkness. It was wounded, its fur matted with blood, but its eyes burned with a fierce determination. The two creatures faced each other, the Dogman and the vampire, ancient rivals locked in a battle that had spanned centuries, and I was caught in the middle, a witness to a conflict that transcended the boundaries of the natural world. The Dogman lunged at the vampire, and the forest erupted in a frenzy of claws, wings, and fangs. The battle was brutal and savage, a clash of titans that shook the very foundations of the woods. I watched in awe and horror as they tore into each other, locked in a deadly embrace. But it was the Dogman who emerged victorious, its jaws clamped around the vampire's throat. With a final, guttural growl, it snapped the creature's neck, and the ancient Strigoi went limp, its lifeless body falling to the ground. The Dogman stood over its fallen foe, its chest heaving with exhaustion. It turned to me, its eyes locking onto mine, and then, with what seemed to be a nod, it retreated into the shadows of the forest, disappearing into the night. I was left alone in the glade, the silence broken only by the rustling of leaves and the distant cries of nocturnal creatures. The battle had ended, and the forest had reclaimed its dark secrets. As I made my way back to civilization, I couldn't shake the feeling that I had witnessed something beyond the realm of human understanding. The Dogman and the vampire were not mere legends or myths. They were ancient guardians and predators, locked in an eternal struggle for control of the forest. I knew that I would never forget that night, and that the horrors I had encountered would haunt my dreams for the rest of my life. But I also knew that I had glimpsed a world hidden from the eyes of most, a world of darkness and wonder, where ancient mysteries still dwelled, waiting to be uncovered by those brave enough to seek them out.
This reality never ceases to amaze me. What a tale. Now click subscribe and like this video for more Strange Nexus.